All right. So, you're here because you want to really get to the bottom of things.
Yeah.
You want to understand what really matters without getting bogged down.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all about here.
That's it.
And so today we're taking a deep dive, a really fascinating plunge into a brand new treasure trove.
Okay.
It's a massive collection of U.S. presidential campaign TV ads.
Oh, wow.
And get this, it stretches all the way from Eisenhower in 1952
Wow.
to Obama in 2012.
I mean, that's 7 decades.
Yeah. Think about that. 7 decades
Wow.
of political messaging all in one place.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible window into American political history.
Yeah.
And you're not just capturing the words.
Right.
You're capturing the visuals.
Oh, yeah.
You're capturing the evolution of campaign strategies
Yeah.
over all those years.
And it's not just, a small handful.
Right.
It's not like, we found,
Right.
20 or 30 of these. We're talking about 9,707 ads,
Oh, wow.
which adds up to over 100 hours of footage.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. So this incredible resource, it comes from the Julian P. Cantor Political Commercial Archive.
Okay.
And the story of how this archive came to be
Yeah.
is really interesting.
Okay.
Julian Cantor, he worked for Adlai Stevenson back in the day,
Uh-huh.
and he noticed that all of these campaign ads,
Yeah.
they were just being thrown away after they aired.
Oh, wow.
So he started collecting them himself.
Really?
Just on his own, he was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, this is important.
That's amazing.
This is a history.
Yeah.
We need to save these.
Wow. Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, talk about,
Just incredible foresight.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so what's really remarkable is that for many of these older ads,
Yeah.
the Cantor archive is it.
It's the only one.
It's the only copy.
Wow.
Yeah. And, we often see these little snippets,
Right.
like on Living Room Candidate website,
Yeah.
which is a great resource.
Sure.
But it turns out that only about 10% of the Cantor collection
Right.
overlaps with what's available there.
That's amazing.
So this is really unique stuff.
It's really special. Yeah.
Yeah. And for years, researchers, they wanted to study these ads.
Yeah.
And they had to physically go to the University of Oklahoma
Oh, wow.
to look at them.
So this new release really, opens it up
Yeah.
to anybody who's interested.
Yeah. It knocks down that barrier.
Yeah.
So we have this massive archive.
Yeah.
It spans decades.
Okay.
Why is this such a big deal? Like,
Right.
why should we care?
Well, even with everything that's happened with online advertising
Right. All the social media.
and social media,
Yeah.
broadcast television is still
Still the way to go.
the most powerful way for campaigns to reach voters,
Especially in a presidential election.
especially in a presidential election.
It's the way to get to the most people.
Yeah, and the numbers show it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just looking at the numbers from the 2024 election campaigns. They aired their TV ads over 1.47 million times
Wow.
just between Super Tuesday and November 1st.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And
Yeah.
the money they spent on these ads,
Yeah, how much?
over $5.3 billion.
Wow, that's just incredible.
It's a staggering number.
It is.
And that television ad spending, it accounted for nearly half.
Really?
48% of all campaign advertising expenditures.
So more than digital.
Way more than digital.
Wow.
So you can't ignore this stuff.
No, you can't.
If you want to understand how campaigns are trying to connect with voters and persuade them,
You have to look at these ads.
you have to look at these ads, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, trying to study these ads from a historical perspective,
Yeah.
it's been tough.
Right. It's been really difficult.
Yeah.
Researchers have faced a couple of major hurdles.
Okay.
The first one is there's just been this lack of readily available data for elections before 1996.
Yeah.
And that's made it tough to track those long-term shifts in how campaigns communicated.
Yeah. Like, how can you tell the story
Right.
if you're missing, the first half of the book?
Exactly. Like, imagine you're trying to understand how, campaign rhetoric around national security
Yeah.
changed after the Cold War.
Right.
If you can't look at the ads from that period,
Yeah.
it's impossible.
So it's like you're trying to follow a story,
Yeah.
but you're missing, huge chunks.
You're missing chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first problem.
That's the first problem.
What's the second one?
The second one is even for more recent elections where you can find the ads.
Yeah.
It's just so time consuming to analyze them.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Traditionally, you'd have researchers just watching hours and hours of footage.
I mean, that sounds awful.
It is.
Yeah.
And they'd have to take notes on everything. You know, what issues are being discussed?
Yeah.
What kind of imagery are they using?
Yeah.
What's the tone of the ad?
Right.
Projects like the Wesleyan Media Project and the Wisconsin Advertising Project.
I've heard of those.
They've done some amazing work.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're limited
Yeah.
by just how labor-intensive that manual process is.
So we have this massive, historically crucial archive.
Right.
But analyzing it the old way could take forever.
Yeah, it would take forever.
So what's the solution?
Well, the solution is AI.
Oh.
The researchers, they developed an automated system
Okay.
to process, transcribe, and summarize all 9,707 of these videos.
So they're using artificial intelligence to handle this huge amount of data.
That's exactly right.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it makes the collection searchable and analyzable in a way that we just couldn't do before.
So it's kind of like you're giving researchers this brand new lens to examine all of this political communication. That's a great way to put it, yeah.
And, you know, it's important to point out that this AI system, it was designed to be neutral, comprehensive, and coherent.
Right.
Because, you know, we want objective insights.
We want good data.
Yeah, we want good data from this historical stuff.
Absolutely.
So walk us through this. How does this AI magic actually work?
Okay, so the process has a few key steps.
Okay.
First, there's preprocessing.
Okay, what's that?
So those older recordings,
they
often have extra stuff at the beginning and the end, like station identification or black leader before the ad actually starts.
You don't want that.
No, you don't want that.
You want the ad itself.
Right. So the AI is trained to detect when people start speaking.
Okay.
And when they appear on screen.
Okay.
And that way they can find where the actual ad segment is.
So it's like the AI is an editor going through and cutting out the unnecessary parts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They started with the Google Video Intelligence API for this.
But then they found that Whisper, another AI model, was just as good.
Okay, so it's doing the same thing.
Doing the same thing.
But maybe it's a little easier.
Yeah, maybe a little bit easier.
Okay, so now we've got the ad itself.
Right.
What happens next?
Then we need to transcribe it.
What does that mean?
That means taking the audio and turning it into text.
Okay.
For this, they use an AI model called Whisper Large V3.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
It is.
But it's from OpenAI.
It is from OpenAI.
Yeah.
And this model is incredibly accurate.
Okay.
It makes like 3 errors for every 100 words.
That's really good.
It is.
It's like better than a person.
Yeah. It can be even better than a person.
So now we have a text version of everything that was said in all those ads.
Yeah.
But TV ads are more than just words, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's what you see.
Right. It's visual.
Yeah. So how did they handle that?
So the third step is keyframe extraction.
What does that mean?
That's where the AI picks out the most important visual moments.
Okay.
Does it 2 ways.
Okay.
First, it takes a frame from the middle of each segment where someone is speaking.
Okay.
Because you figure usually what you're seeing is related to what they're saying.
Right.
But then to make sure they're not missing anything, they also extract frames every 3 seconds.
Okay.
So you end up with an average of 22 keyframes.
Okay.
Or snapshots for each ad.
So they're like highlighting the important scenes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how do you know what's happening in those pictures?
Well, right. So for that, there's frame description.
Okay.
For each of those keyframes, they used another AI model called GPT-4 Vision.
Okay.
They give it some instructions.
Okay.
Tell it the election year.
Okay.
The party and the candidate.
Okay.
And they ask it to describe what's happening in the picture.
Okay.
In 15 words or less.
15 words or less.
Yeah.
So it's got to be concise.
It's got to be short.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they also make sure it includes any text that's on the screen.
Right.
So it's really capturing what's visually important.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the transcript.
Yeah.
We've got these little descriptions of the visuals.
Yeah.
What's the final step?
Summarization.
Okay.
They go back to GPT-4.
Okay, so they're using the same AI model?
The same ones. But this time, they feed it the transcript, the descriptions of the keyframes, and some basic information about the ad.
Like the year and the candidate?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they ask it for a 50-word summary.
50-word summary of the whole thing.
Of the whole thing.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and they actually told the AI over and over again, 50 words.
Keep it to 50 words.
50 words.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier an example from Bill Clinton's Hope, Arkansas ad.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
From 1992.
Yeah. So for that ad, the AI came up with this summary.
Okay.
The 1992 political ad features then-candidate Bill Clinton narrating a touching dialogue of his humble beginnings in Hope, Arkansas, his work in public service, and his dreams of making a difference as president. Visually, the ad is a blend of his past and present, reflecting a life dedicated to civic engagement.
Wow, so it captured like the message and the look and the feel in just a few sentences.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
That's great. But how do they know the AI was doing a good job?
Right.
With all this AI? I mean, did they just trust it?
Well, no, they didn't just trust it.
Okay.
They did a whole validation process with humans involved.
Okay, so real people checking the AI's work.
Exactly. They wanted to be sure the AI was giving good quality results across all the different parties and throughout the whole data set.
Right, from the 50s all the way to the 2010s.
Exactly.
So for pre-processing, what did they do to check that?
So they had research assistants actually watch a bunch of the videos and mark down the exact start and end times of the ad itself.
Right.
And then they compared that to what the AI had done.
And how did it do?
It did a really good job. Very rarely did it cut off more than 3 seconds of the actual ad.
So it's pretty minor.
It's pretty minor. Okay. And it also didn't miss much either.
Okay, so it was pretty accurate.
It was very accurate.
And did they find any patterns in those errors?
No, they looked for that.
Okay.
And they didn't see any connection to a specific party or year.
So it wasn't biased?
No.
Okay.
They also had the different humans check each other's work.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they agreed almost all the time.
So it was consistent?
It was very consistent.
Okay, good. Okay. What about for the transcription?
Okay, so for the transcription...
How did they check that the AI was doing a good job?
They had human coders transcribe some of the ads.
Okay.
And then they compared those to what the AI had done. The AI had a very low error rate.
So it was accurate? Very
accurate. Okay. And again, they didn't see any pattern in the errors. That would suggest it was biased towards one party or year.
So the AI is good at prepping the videos?
Yeah.
And it's good at transcribing the audio. But what about the summaries?
Right.
Summarizing is so much more complex.
It is.
So how do they check that?
Okay, so they compared the AI summaries to summaries written by humans.
So undergraduate research assistants.
Yeah. Okay. Who watched the ads.
Okay.
And then they had political science grad students evaluate both sets of summaries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. On 4 criteria.
Okay, what were they?
Coherence.
Okay, so does the summary make sense?
Yeah, does it flow well?
Okay, what else?
The consistency.
Okay, is it capturing all the main points?
Yeah. Is it staying on topic?
Okay.
Fluency.
Okay, so is it readable?
Yeah. Does it sound natural?
Okay.
And relevance.
Okay, so is it actually about the ad? All right, so that's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, they really wanted to be thorough.
And how did the AI summaries do?
They did great.
Okay.
They were rated much higher in coherence, fluency, and relevance.
Wow.
And they were just as good on consistency.
So the AI is not just spitting out keywords.
No, it's understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did some fancy statistics to make sure this wasn't just a fluke.
Okay, so the AI is legit.
The AI is legit.
Okay, cool. So this data set, it's easy to use. And it's got these really accurate transcripts and summaries.
Yeah.
What kind of research can we do with this?
So many things.
Yeah.
The researchers themselves, they used it to track how certain issues have changed in campaign advertising.
Okay, over the whole data set.
Over the whole 7 decades.
Okay, so what were they looking for?
They used something called a keyword-assisted dynamic topic model.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand all of that.
Basically, it lets them see how different issues became more or less important in campaign ads over time.
Okay, that makes sense.
They focused on keywords related to things voters care about.
Okay.
Like the economy, immigration, abortion.
Yeah.
Terrorism, foreign policy.
Makes sense.
The Supreme Court, healthcare.
Yeah, those are all big issues.
Yeah, and then also things that campaigns focus on.
Yeah, like what?
Like taxation and crime.
Okay. And what did they find?
A few interesting things.
Okay, like what?
For example, foreign policy.
Yeah.
It tended to show up more in ads after big global events.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So like after the Cuban Missile Crisis or after, terrorism became a big issue.
Oh, what?
Domestic issues like the economy. Yeah. They were front and center.
Yeah.
When the economy was bad.
Right. So when people were worried about money.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they also saw how crime became a bigger and bigger issue.
Yeah.
Starting in the late 80s and 90s.
Okay. So it's like they're tracking, what the country is worried about.
Yeah.
through these campaign ads.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And you also mentioned something about a disconnect
All right.
between what campaigns talk about
Yeah,
and what voters actually care about.
that's right.
Can you explain that?
So sometimes the things that campaigns focus on
Yes.
aren't actually the top issues for voters.
Okay, so they're talking past each other.
Kind of?
Okay,
Yeah.
so this data set lets us study that
Yeah, we can really dig into that.
over a long period of time.
Yeah, over decades.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is.
So how can our listeners get their hands on this data?
It's pretty easy.
Okay, good.
There's a project website.
Okay, what's the address?
It's campaigntved.org.
Okay, we'll link to that in the show notes.
Perfect.
And what's on the website?
So on the website, you can search for videos
Okay.
by candidate by election year,
Okay.
and even by specific words or phrases
Oh, wow.
that were used in the ads.
So you can really zero in on what you're looking for.
Yeah, you can get very specific.
Okay.
And you can even do fuzzy search
What's that?
if you don't remember the exact words.
Well, that's handy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what?
When you get your search results,
Yeah.
you get links to the videos themselves.
Okay.
And those are on Vimeo.
Okay.
So you can watch them online and even download them.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that's if you want to look at specific campaigns or candidates.
Right.
What if you want to use the whole data set?
If you want to do more in-depth research,
Yeah.
the whole collection is available for bulk download.
Okay, where can they find that?
It's on Harvard's Dataverse.
Okay.
The address for that is dataverse.harvard.edu, Dataverse tab.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes too.
Perfect.
And is the data organized in any way?
Yeah, it's organized by election year.
Oh, okay, cool. So you can download just the years you're interested in.
Exactly.
Okay, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
And what about the code?
Oh, yeah.
Is the code for this project available?
Yes, definitely.
Hey.
It's on GitHub.
Okay.
You can find it under the username Adam Brewer.
Okay.
And the project is called AI Summarize Vid.
Okay, so other researchers, they can look at the code
Yeah,
and even use it themselves.
exactly.
That's really great.
Yeah, it's open science.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is really groundbreaking stuff.
it is.
It gives us this whole new view
Yeah.
into how U.S. presidential campaigns have changed
Yeah,
and how they've shaped public discourse
right.
for over half a century.
That's right.
And the way they used AI to do this,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
It's really innovative.
Yeah. So what can we learn from all of this?
Well, I think it raises some big questions.
Okay, like what?
Like, how have the main themes of presidential campaigns really changed over time?
Yeah.
What issues always seem to connect with voters?
Yeah.
No matter what's happening in the world?
Yeah.
And how do these campaign ads
Yeah.
both reflect and influence what people are talking about?
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah. Which one comes first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we have the tools to answer these questions.
We do.
It's incredible.
It is.
So we encourage you listening to dive into this data.
Yeah.
We'll have all those links in the show notes.
Right.
Check out the campaigns that interest you,
Yeah.
the issues that you care about.
And see what you discover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what you find.
Yeah. Be a historical data detective.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
here's something to think about.
Okay.
Now that we can look back
Yeah.
at all these decades of presidential advertising,
Yeah.
what does that tell us about the future?
That's a great question.
Yeah. How are campaigns going to change
Yeah.
in this digital world?
Right. Are they going to learn from these old ads?
Yeah.
And use those lessons online?
It's a lot to consider.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Thank you for having me.